Alright guys, we've been playing the TBC Prepatch now for about 2 weeks, right? Ish 2 weeks, almost 2 weeks, and guess what? It's slightly under 2 weeks, or slightly over 1 week now, until TBC actually comes out. This video by Jerpy covers what's been going on in the TBC Prepatch. Classic WoW TBC Anniversary. I don't know what to expect. Maybe it's a recap of what's been happening in the Prepatch. Maybe it's something about all of the complaints people have been having. I mean, it's a WoW patch and it's a day that ends in Y, so people are complaining.
Welcome back to the channel. I wanted to make an update about the TBC Prepatch, talk about the previous week, what's going on right now, and what the future holds for TBC Anniversary realms. Starting things off, we had a very rough maintenance of 24 hours, followed by multiple delays. I think it was a 3-hour delay, another 3-hour delay, and then a 2-hour delay or something like that. And then the servers ended up coming up for me at around 2 in the morning Eastern.
Yeah, it was a 3-hour delay into a 3-hour delay into 2 1-hour delays. So just like delay all the time. I feel so bad for North America, man. We didn't have that many delays in EU, thankfully, but still.
Standard time. I ended up going to bed extremely early and just not even bothering. From what I heard, the servers were extremely laggy when players got in, and when I got on the next following morning, I was met with like a 70 ping difference, or not a 70 ping difference, I'm sorry, but 70 ping rather than having 50 ping. And immediately I said, oh, well, that's just some minor server issues. You know, Prepatch is going to be a little bit laggy at first. It's the first day. We're going to have some technical difficulties, right? Well, a week later, that's still going to be the case. I still have 70 ping versus normally having 50 ping, and that's going to be a big issue for PvP. It's not really a
Didn't they move the servers from West Coast to East Coast, or the other way? They basically went from one coast to the other coast, right?
huge deal breaker for anyone that's going to be raiding from a different part of the world, but it's a completely different thing when you step inside of PvP. Latency can play a huge factor in winning or losing a certain duel, winning a certain arena match, and the list just goes on and on. Going back to when I played Call of Duty, oftentimes host advantage meant winning the match, right? It was a huge game changer when your team got to host and all your friends that you were playing with were East Coast and you were playing against a West Coast team. You get the idea. If you're playing on a 3-bar connection permanently throughout the entire match and everyone else is 4-bar, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you've ever played COD, you've ever played any first-person shooter, latency is a huge deal, and that's going to translate exactly the same way you think it's going to translate into PvP and arena. It's definitely going to stink if you're into PvP, especially if you're pushing for Gladiator. You are really going to see the difference in these higher level matchups and feel the latency for sure. Hopefully in the future, Blizzard moves the server back to a more central location, but we have no idea what's going to happen with that. Regardless of the negatives, this is going to be a very positive change for the future of TBC. Having the Burning Crusade on its own independent server, its own server list, its own client, it is going to be absolutely massive for the production of TBC Anniversary. And the main reason I think they did this is they're really starting to lay down a foundation for Classic Plus. They're starting to test what is going to work in Classic Anniversary and use it as a testing ground for what's going to work in Classic Plus. This way they can get some of that testing out of the way now, fix the bugs that we're currently seeing. You know, Shaman's not having...
That is actually not a bad point to make, by the way. So basically we had Season of Discovery as a testing ground for Classic Plus, and now we have TBC as another level of testing area as well for Classic Plus. Especially with the way they did their database coding for Anniversary as well. Basically they split the database, right? So you had, this is why the maintenance took such a long time, because of the database and things on the back end. So maybe Season of Discovery was more testing new stuff in the game, and now they're testing the back end as well, the database and stuff like that, and how they can do that for Classic Plus. Plus, like he's going to talk about here as well, adding stuff to TBC Classic, checking out which quality of life stuff people will react well to, and what quality of life stuff people will react not so well to. Maybe the whole pre-nerf and post-nerf raid debate as well is also something that will translate into Classic Plus, like how hard should the raiding content be in Classic Plus? I don't know.
Having 2-handers available, Pally's not being able to learn max rank consecration, boosted characters not having writing skill, players not being able to boost at all, the random data leaks from pet data. I don't know what happened with that, but players would have their pets out and then they would randomly just disconnect, so players would have to slash reload, dismiss their pet, and just keep constantly fixing it. And to no surprise, the client is randomly crashing. The Battleground gates are opening early for whatever reason. World buffs are completely broken, especially with Songflower. Players being able to get multiple and stack this so many more times than you would normally be able to. And then with the new edit mode, players are having problems with their target frames, not being able to heal targets properly. Some of the time when selecting certain players, your target is grayed out as if they're too far or out of range from you, but really they're right next to you and you can heal them the whole time. Moving on to some of the ongoing issues, one of the big ones being the Maladef realm being moved into the North American server list.
The UI edit mode, by the way, is a one time. I never thought me having played retail would go this well into more knowledge in Classic. Because what this did was just, if you're setting up your action bars, for example, let me go to my game right now. So you have this edit mode that is brand new to a bunch of Classic people, and your action bars right now, like, I've gotten some questions on how do you get the action bars to show the way they do. So, like, this is like the regular Classic UI-ish, right? If you checked it out after the pre-patch, your bars look different and they're not showing all the time. I like to have the empty spaces showing on my screen. Don't ask me why. It's just I like having those there. And if you go to options and action bars, there is no such thing as to always show the action bar. That stuff is hidden now, and you have to go to edit mode, and you have to then click on the action bar and then click always show buttons. It's just like small changes like this, where something that was previously available in options is no longer there, but you can still do it. It is just the ability is now put somewhere else, you know? Just wanted to point that out. Maybe somebody didn't know about that, and there we go.
Blizzard has given players the option to transfer to Dream Scythe or Nightslayer, but the Maladef realm, from what I understand, is very low populated, so players are wanting to transfer off. And what I think this ultimately means is the closure of that realm in the future. But for now, players are able to play on that low populated server if they want to choose to do so, or they can transfer over for free to either Dream Scythe or Nightslayer. But with this in place, it's currently causing a new separate issue. A lot of players on Nightslayer are currently unable to make Horde characters on the North American realms. A lot of players are trying to link up with their friends.
This is happening on Spine Shatter as well, and to be fair, this is something that happened when Anniversary came out in the first time, and something, wasn't it Mists of Pandaria, where they started to, whenever they started doing this whole faction balance on PvP servers, people always had this complaint, oh, I can't make a party, I can't make my character there now, I can't play with my friends, and Blizzard knew this was going to happen. It's a calculated risk they take, because if they go back on this now, it's just going to go back to causing realms that are no longer like faction balanced. When you put a faction balance in place, this is the risk you take. You will upset some people, but I think you're doing it for the betterment of the servers themselves, because if you open the floodgates of just removing the service restrictions, I can promise you the PvP servers will be Horde dominated in a couple of months. I'm predicting 70% Horde in a month or two if you open the floodgates. So yeah, the people have those complaints, they're not going to go anywhere, and neither is the restrictions. It is what it is.
On Horde side, and they're currently unable to do so. Hopefully Blizzard addresses and fixes this issue before the launch of TBC Anniversary.
They're not going to, and then number one, they're not going to, and number two, how would they fix it? Because once again, if they open up the floodgates, then the servers will no longer be balanced. This is something they put in place to keep the servers actually balanced and have PvP servers be roughly 50-50, so there's actually PvP happening. They're trying to keep the PvP servers actually PvP.
For PvP, we've had so many changes to the honor gains, I've completely lost track at this point, but currently we have a 150% honor increase. In my opinion, I think this is still going to be a very long grind at around 20 to 30 hours just to get the blue PvP set and potentially a rank 14 weapon. And if you're going to go the extra mile, you're looking at 50 to 60 hours easily just to get the epic set. I really think that reducing the cost of some of this gear would be a very welcome change. Players obviously have already started to spend some of their honor, so maybe just increase it farther. Give us 300%. Who really cares? The pre-patch is over in the next 2 weeks. It's not going to be a huge deal once you hit level 70. A lot of the stuff gets replaced, and it's only going to really matter for leveling. The last thing we got to talk about is boosting is now banned.
I don't really know why Blizzard only increased the honor gains, by the way, by about effectively 25%, right? Because it was already 100%, they made it 150, but I think from the 100% gains to 150, That is just 25% more than you were already getting like before. Right? So not really the biggest change, when people were complaining so much on the forums that the honor gains were not good enough and it took too much time to get the gear. What they should have done is increase the honor points to 150 the way they did, but also cut the cost in half. Like, why not? Why not show people that, hey, we understand it's different times now, you're playing TBC for the third time, and not all of you have time to play the video game all the time. You have a family, you have a job, you have 2 jobs, you do stuff on your free time, you go to the gym, you just can't play this game for that much time. Here, take this buff and the reduction of cost of the honor point stuff in the gear as well, and just have a time. Go into TBC, be prepared, have the gear, and have a good time. I don't see the problem. And if their argument was that they only increased the honor gains and not nerfed the cost of the gear to, like, because of people that had already bought their gear and to respect them, I mean, buffing the honor points already disrespected them, because now the other people get honor points faster. I don't know, just give me more honor points and cut the cost of the gear. It still takes too long, even now as well, and it's created a meta where you have to have a pre-made, or you're just gonna hate your life in the pre-patch. And speaking of which, this is gonna be a different topic that we're gonna talk about later today as well, but I believe there should be a PvP, like when you queue for a battleground, it should be a group queue and a solo queue. And if you queue as a group, you only meet other people who also queue as a group, and if you queue solo, you only meet other people who also queue solo, because the pre-made stomp meta at the moment, where if you're a pre-made versus a pre-made, whoever wins the first fight wins the battleground, and you give up, because what you're trying to do as a pre-made is not to do PvP. You're trying to stomp, so you make a pre-made with the intention of only wrecking noobs, and if you meet another good pre-made, you either forfeit or win fast. Because you're not there to do PvP, you are there to win fast.
Blizzard has updated their TOS and guidelines to enforce that mage boosting is now going to be bannable and against the TOS of the game. The standalone boost is completely fine, but if you're going to pay a mage gold to boost your character farther, you have been warned that you are at risk to potentially get a suspension from playing the game. If you're advertising that you're going to be selling a boost, you are potentially at risk as well. I think this is just a really bad look for Blizzard, with them banning the competition just to force their own boost onto more players. With it being unlimited, it is just a step in the wrong direction to be more and more focused toward the WoW token. Meanwhile, bots are roaming free and multi-boxing is going on rampantly, but Blizzard seems to not be addressing that anytime soon, as per usual. I think it's just really bad timing. The problem I have with this is you've allowed players to become so acclimated to this culture that the player base has created over the past couple of years, and so now all of these things being taken away just feels worse and worse. You've had these hyper-commercialized min-max servers with boosting, buying summons, mage portals, buying raid loot, dungeon loot, and of course GDKPs. So now banning this stuff over time really asks the question on what's going to get banned or removed next. Everything just feels so much worse having these privileges taken away after we become so accustomed to them over the past couple of years. If Blizzard would have stepped in sooner and had an old school rule set, I think that players wouldn't be so upset about some of these things that have gotten removed from the game. With boosting being banned, I think the anti-boosting mechanic should be looked into again and removed from the game. At this point, it's causing more harm than good, and it's clearly not working. If it was working as intended, I don't think Blizzard would have stepped in to ban boosting. It just feels really bad to have a core fundamental completely stripped away from so many classes. Not only that, but when you get into heroics and your tank is in combat for too long, this anti-boosting mechanic is going to feel awful for heroic dungeons. And especially so if you're playing hardcore TBC. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I really wanted to talk about today. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe for more. And as always, I'll see you next time.
Okay, there we go. That right there was a good video, by the way. Very good video, very good recap of everything happening in the pre-patch so far, and how the community has been reacting to it, and a little bit of sprinkling his own opinions on top as well. Yeah, great. I agree with many of the things he said, by the way. A lot of them.